The butcher of Atizapán, the basement full of bones. It was supposed to be a simple favor. On the morning of May 14, 2021, Reina González, a mother of two and small business owner, left her home in Atizapán, Mexico, with a man her family trusted. His name was Andrés Mendoza, a harmless old man, a former butcher, known in the neighborhood for giving out food to the poor and helping struggling mothers like Reina. No one ever suspected what was hiding behind the kind smile. Because when Reina failed to come home that night, her husband, a police officer, started to look for her. And what he would find beneath the floorboards of Andrés' home was a horror show that had been buried in silence for decades. 1. The friendly old man next door. Andrés Mendoza didn't stand out. At 72 years old, he looked like someone's grandfather. A little frail, often tipsy, but polite, kind, even. He ran a butcher shop years ago, and despite being retired, he still walked the streets with bags of food, sometimes even clothes. Neighbors would see him handing out meals to families, giving extra cuts of meat to kids, or offering small tokens of help. Everyone thought of him as generous, soft-spoken, just a lonely man who drank a little too much. But no one knew what was really in his basement. No one could have imagined what those meals were made of. 2. The disappearance of Reina González. Reina had a small phone repair business in the neighborhood. She was independent, warm, and well-liked. Her husband Bruno worked as a police officer. They lived a quiet, simple life with their two daughters. So when Reina left with Andrés that morning to get supplies for her shop, Bruno didn't think much of it. After all, Andrés was like family. He visited the shop often. He brought meals. He helped out. But that evening, Reina never came home. Bruno called her. No answer. He called Andrés. The old man told him she never showed up that morning. That was a lie, and Bruno knew it. Point 3. Red flags and rising panic. The next day, Bruno drove to Andrés' home. This time, he brought backup. When they knocked, Andrés refused to let them in. No reason, no explanation, just a locked door and a bad feeling. So Bruno checked nearby security footage, and there it was, Reina entering Andrés' home, but never leaving. The footage was clear. Andrés had lied. Bruno returned with a warrant. What they were about to find inside would shake the entire nation. 4. The basement door. As soon as police stepped inside, something was off. The house was filthy, cluttered, but it wasn't just that. There was a smell. Foul, rotting, heavy. It grew stronger as they made their way toward the basement. Then they heard it trying his ringtone. Bruno called her phone, and the sound echoed from below the floor. They searched until they found a hidden trapdoor. Underneath it, a ladder. What lay at the bottom would stay with them forever. 5. The bags in the dim light of the hidden room. There was a table. On it, plastic bags tightly sealed. They opened one. Inside were human remains. Reina's remains. Dismembered, carefully stored. Bruno bolted out of the house in disbelief. But forensics team stayed behind. They kept searching, and what they found next revealed that Reina was far from the only victim. 6. The house of death. The deeper police went into Andrés' house, the more disturbing it became. Hidden in closets, drawers, and under the floorboards were hundreds of personal items, necklaces, earrings, nail polish bottles, voter IDs, cell phones, photos, wallets, things no one would ever leave behind voluntarily. They belonged to women, dozens of them. Then came the notebook. Inside were names, addresses, weights, and dates. Each entry described a different woman. Some dated back to 1994. Andrés had kept track of everything. The time, the date, how much the body parts weighed. It was more than a list. It was a trophy collection. 7. The tapes, but the worst was still coming. In a locked chest, police found tapes, old VHS and 8mm film reels. When they played them, there was no longer any doubt. Andrés had recorded everything. The murders, the dismemberment, even himself knew, peeling off the skin of his victims, laughing, talking to the camera, sometimes eating pieces of them. The food he gave to neighbors wasn't beef, The clothes he gave to children, stripped from the dead. This wasn't just a killer. This was something else entirely. A serial killer hiding in plain sight after his arrest. Andres didn't deny anything. "I blame myself," he said. "I have done it and that's it." He admitted to killing 30 people. Women, mostly. Some poor, some single mothers, some desperate for work. He said he hated women, that they always left him for richer men, that they deserved what happened to them. It was a hatred so deep, he turned it into a system. He would offer victims odd jobs, repair work, cleaning gigs, delivery help. They trusted him. They followed him. And once inside his home, he locked the door behind them. 9. A graveyard of bones. When forensic teams finished excavating his basement, the final count was staggering. Over 4,600 bone fragments. They were able to link them to at least 19 victims, 17 women, 1 man, and 1 child. Authorities believe there were more. Some bones were burned, others buried. Most were hidden in bags, stacked behind walls or under furniture. And yet for decades, no one had ever noticed. Because Andres Mendoza was just the old man who handed out food. 10. Justice, or just a fraction. Despite the mountain of evidence, tapes, bones, photos, notebooks, Andres Mendoza was only officially convicted of 2 murders, Reina González and another woman from 2019. That's it. The rest of the cases are still being reviewed. Slowly, quietly. As of now, he is serving a life sentence in a high-security prison. But the tapes, they're locked away, never to be released, never to be shown. Maybe that's for the best. He wasn't a monster in the woods. He didn't live in the shadows. He lived next door, greeted neighbors, offered kindness, disguised his horror as charity. And while the world carried on above him, Andres Mendoza built a house of death beneath his feet, layer by layer, bone by bone, name by name. And no one knew. The scariest part, he didn't wear a mask. He didn't hide in the night. He smiled, and everyone trusted him. But behind that smile was a secret kept for 30 years, and a trap door no one ever thought to open.